Hello and welcome to Atlantic Health's virtual cooking class. My name's Mary Finkenor and I will be your host today. Today's class is Cooking from Your Pantry. Today we're going to do some recipes that will be great because they'll utilize what you already have at home and you won't need to make a separate trip to the store. So today, what we're going to be making are three fabulous recipes. The first is quick and easy Asian noodle bowl. This is a great recipe and it could be adapted to pretty much whatever you have on hand. The next recipe is corn and black bean salad. This is such a winner and you can make it any time of year and adapt it to whatever vegetable you have on hand. And last but not least, for dessert, we've got banana ice cream, which is fabulous. All right, let's get started. Okay, our first recipe, quick and easy Asian noodle bowl. You could see the ingredient list, might look a little long, but do not get intimidated. I'm gonna break them down for you. This is the ingredients that we need for the sauce. You might see some stuff that's not familiar, but don't worry about it. We're gonna go through each ingredient that might be a little foreign when we cook, and I'll tell you what you could do instead. And then you got noodles. You probably have some kind of noodles at home, spaghetti, linguine, anything is gonna work. And then you have sort of the meat of the dish. You're gonna use ground turkey or ground chicken or veggie grounds, plus some onions and garlic, and you probably have some of this stuff on hand. And then lastly, we're gonna use some vegetables. Traditionally, this is made with like a leaf vegetable, like a baby spinach or a baby kale, but it can be used with any vegetable. All right, let's get going with our quick and easy Asian noodle bowl recipe. The first thing we're going to do is make the sauce. Now, if you take a look at the ingredients, the first thing is soy sauce. While I'm measuring that out, I want to talk about tamari a little bit. Soy sauce you probably all know, but what you might not know about soy sauce is that it's made from soybeans as well as wheat. And so for people that have celiac disease and can't have gluten or are just avoiding wheat, they can't really have it. Tamari is nothing more than soy sauce that's made primarily and only with soybeans. Okay, so we got our soy sauce in there. And now we got a little bit of water. And the water is really just to thin the sauce because there's so many flavors, it just makes more of the sauce. Next, we got a little bit of sesame oil. This stuff is great. Now, if you don't have sesame oil, don't worry about it. It'll be fine without it. But if you do, definitely put it in. Sesame oil has such a nice nutty flavor and you don't need much. A little goes a really long way. So a bottle like this is going to easily last you a year. We've got 2 teaspoons of that. Next up, we have honey. Now, here's a great tip for honey. If you're measuring honey in a spoon or a cup, you want to spray it first. If you spray it with a little cooking spray, it's going to slip out, as you will see, super easily. You won't need a spatula or anything. All right, so we got our honey. Easy peasy. Now, if you wanted to use fresh ginger is wonderful, and here's a great tip to use for that. When you buy fresh ginger, it looks like this. And I never used to do it because it always seemed very overwhelming. If you stick ginger in the freezer, you can grate it and it will grate like a dream. So just check this out. Do you see how it's grating so nice and light and fluffy? If you try and do this with fresh ginger, you're gonna get a wet stringy mess. It's not gonna work. But if you stick your ginger in your freezer, anytime you need fresh ginger, you just grate what you need and stick it back in the freezer. Fabulous way to use it and very, very economical. Last up, I'm going to use a little bit of chili paste. This is chili paste. You might have seen it in the store. You'll find it in the Asian or ethnic aisle, and it adds a lot of great heat. It adds heat with a little bit of garlic and vinegar. It's very similar to sriracha. And what's great is you only need a little bit. You buy this jar, you're going to have it for a year. A little bit goes a long way. It adds a nice flavor profile. If you don't have this, don't worry. You could use pretty much anything else to give it a little heat. You could use Frank's Red Hot. You could use some Tabasco. You could use red pepper flakes. Any of that will work. Now that we got all our ingredients in, let's mix it up. Easy. And here's a tip. If you're cooking for a lot of people and you're doing a lot of tasting, get a bunch of plastic spoons. You could taste stuff and then needs a little bit more sweetness. And you can just throw them in the dishwasher and reuse them. So I'm going to throw in a little bit more honey. Perfect. So now we're going to cook the pasta, and I'm just using regular old spaghetti. You could use any pasta. This dish works pretty well with anything that's a long shape like spaghetti, linguine, angel hair, stuff like that. But if all you've got is like elbow macaroni or rotini or penne, that'll work fine. So we're going to just add them in there, give them a stir. and get everything else ready while they cook. So now I'm going to show you how to cut an onion. I mean, there's many ways to do it, but this is one of the simplest ways that I think there is out there. You're going to cut off the top and the bottom, like so. Then you're going to cut that baby in half, again, like so. And take off the outer papery layers. You might not know this, but when onions are grown, they grow underground, and then they have to dry them. You can't just use them right away. Fun fact. All right, so now when you're gonna cut onions, you wanna think they're already actually cut in layers one direction. If you're just doing slices, you just have to make one cut all the way down the line. You wanna always cut against your knuckles so you don't end up getting a piece of your fingertip or fingernail in there. And there you go, just beautiful slices. And if you need to have it cubed, you just turn the onion the other way and chop, 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 and you've got perfect cubes. Right, now for our garlic, we're just using a clove or two, depending how much garlic you like. If you've got a garlic press, that's an easy way to take care of it. First thing you want to do is get the garlic peeled. And the easiest way to do that is get a chef's knife, give it a good whack. And then you'll see that the shell just comes right off and you're left with the interior clove. In this case, it just split apart. And now you could slice this or crush this or do whatever. So we're gonna crush, we're gonna put it in over our garlic press. And when we're ready, we're gonna press it right into the pan. All right, now we're gonna put together our meat, onions, and garlic. We're gonna use a little bit of canola oil. I know the recipe says 2 tablespoons, but just give it a little swirl in there. Right, and for this recipe, I'm going to be using veggie crumbles. You certainly don't have to. What you want to do is get the onions, garlic, and meat product, whatever you're using, to come together at the same time. Because these only need to really be heated through, I'm going to start with the onions and garlic. If you're using chicken or turkey, you might want to start with that first, and then the onions and garlic go in a little bit later. So, all right, here go our onions. Now we're going to crush our garlic in there. And we're going to get them stirring up. And your house is going to smell really good. Whenever you're cooking onions, it smells like you're really cooking. You don't really need to have these really caramelized or anything like that. You just want them to cook through, so they don't need to be cooking forever. All right, while they're starting to cook down, I want to tell you a little bit about the different protein choices. So in this case, I'm using veggie crumbles. Veggie crumbles are a soy-based product, and they're to be in place of a ground beef or a ground turkey or a ground chicken product. They're already cooked, and they're a nice way to get into more veggie meals if you're trying to, because they're very, very user-friendly. They work really well when you're getting flavor from something else, like tacos or in a tomato sauce, or in this case with Asian flavors, because you don't miss the meat. You're getting the flavors from the other components of the dish. But if you want, you could use ground turkey, you could ground chicken, you could use ground beef. You could even use fresh chicken or pork or beef, just cut it up real small. And if you want, you could even use leftovers. Just maybe add them after the onions have cooked down. You just need to heat them through. Any protein is going to work really well in this dish. It's very adaptable. All right, so these onions are pretty good. So we're going to add some crumbles now. Now, as you can see, they really do look like ground beef, and that's how they work. And we don't really, again, need to cook them. We just need to heat them through. Actually smells really good. They'll be done in just a moment. So for our vegetable for this dish, we're going to use just some baby spinach. Again, you could use chopped up broccoli or carrots or zucchini or any vegetable you want. But the spinach I like with this dish. I think it works really well, and it's done really quickly. If you've ever worked with cooking fresh spinach, you know how much it cooks down, and this recipe could take a lot of baby spinach. So we're just gonna add it on top and work it in, and as it wilts, that's all you need. You wanna add like a good handful at a time. If I dump this whole thing in there, it's gonna be too much. You wanna let the steam kind of get in there, and you'll see how quickly they really wilt down. They don't need to cook, they just need to heat a little bit so they become wilted. Spinach is also one of those super vegetables. It is like off the charts nutritious, fabulous for you. It is loaded with vitamins A, vitamin C, vitamin K, and it's mild. So if kale and beet greens and mustard greens aren't your thing, you get almost all the same nutrients in baby spinach. It's a little bit more user-friendly, a little less aggressive. So you can see like it's already wilted. That took 2 seconds. And we're just about ready to mix it all together. Okay, so we've added everything together. And you see it comes together so fast. This is really such a quick and easy dinner to pull together with whatever you have on hand. And here is our quick and easy Asian noodle bowl. Our next recipe is corn and black bean salad, and this is such a winner. I have made this for like dozens of cooking class, and it is always a hit. Here's what's gonna be in it. For the actual salad, you need some corn. A can of corn works perfectly fine. A can of black beans, and then some vegetables. Chopped onion, chopped red pepper, and if you don't have red pepper, you could use cucumber, you could use baby tomatoes, you could use celery, you could throw in almost anything else that you have on hand. And then a little cilantro. The cilantro is optional. If you hate cilantro or you don't have any, leave it out. If you want a little green and you happen to have parsley, throw it in. The dressing part is a very simple dressing. If you look at the ingredients here, there's really nothing exotic. It comes together really fast, and it's also very low fat. Okay, now let's make the dressing for our corn and black bean salad. Really simple dressing. You probably have all of this stuff at home. We got a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. And if you don't have red wine vinegar, don't worry about it. Use what you got. Apple cider vinegar, white vinegar is fine. And we need a little bit of canola oil. Just a little, just 2 teaspoons. It helps make it a little bit more viscous so it's not so watery. And now for a little seasoning. We got a smidge of sugar, just a teaspoon. And now we've got our spices. We are adding cumin, garlic powder, chili powder, black pepper, and a little bit of salt. Now I want to show you something that's great for spices. If at home you have got regular mixing spoons or measuring spoons, that is great. But if you see how this measuring spoon is rectangular, it will fit into all your spice jars. That's why you should buy some of these guys. All right, so half a teaspoon of each of these. Half a teaspoon of chili powder. Chili powder isn't really hot. It adds a little bit of heat, but not much. Garlic powder. And black pepper. Now, if you've got already ground black pepper, great. I'm not going to measure mine, I'm just going to estimate. And if you taste the dressing afterwards and you think maybe it needs a little bit more, add a little bit more. Perfect. And a little bit of salt. Now, here I'm using kosher salt. Kosher salt is a wonderful salt to use. It's got a lot of air in the crystals. They're puffed up. So if you measure it compared to regular table salt, you're actually going to get less sodium. And it's a great finishing salt to use on your products because it gives you a lot of bang for your buck. You get the salt flavor without as much sodium. That's the challenge of the dressing. You could do that. Okay, now before we put together our corn and black bean salad, I want to show you how to cut a pepper. Nice and easy. You take your pepper. This is a pretty big one, so you might not use all of it. You cut off the top and the bottom. You give these to your children or you snack on them later. Then you cut what's left and you open it up like a rectangle. Just take out the seeds in the middle. Get rid of them. And you have basically a rectangle. You're going to cut it in strips, and then once you have strips, it's really easy to dice it. now that we have all the strips, all we got to do, turn them sideways and you get nice diced pepper. And again, remember, cut against your knuckles so you're not getting your fingertips sliced off. Okay, now we're ready to put together our black bean and corn salad. We've got the red pepper that we cut, and it goes. We've got a can, about a 14.5, 15 ounce can, depending on who makes it. And I will point out that you could get almost every vegetable, including corn, with no salt added. So if you have that as an option, get it. And we've got black beans. These have been drained and rinsed. And this is Goya's line of lower sodium beans. It has the light blue color on it. You know, when you're rinsing them, you do rinse off a lot of the sodium. But since they're the same price, it's not a bad idea to get them if you can. And we've got some diced onion and cilantro. Now, if you're a cilantro hater, by all means, leave it out. If you don't have cilantro, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine without it. If you happen to have parsley and you want to throw that in instead, that's fine too. But if you happen to have cilantro and you like the flavor, by all means, throw it in. And we're going to add our dressing and mix it up. This salad is such a wonder because you can make it all year round. You know, red peppers, onions, and cilantro are available year round, and it comes together so quickly you really don't have to do much prep work at all. Oh my goodness, it looks so pretty. I mean, look how gorgeous that salad is. Wonderful. So here is our finished corn and black bean salad. Our last recipe of the day is banana ice cream. If you've never made this, you must try it. It is like soft serve ice cream, and the only ingredient you need are bananas. All right, fabulous. It really is like soft serve, and it's got a lot going for it. Number one, you know when you buy bananas and half of them are already ready to go and you can't eat them all. When you have one that's getting a little past its prime, just peel it and stick it in the freezer. And then when you have 4 or more, throw it in your blender and make banana ice cream. Plus, this is super adaptable. If you like chocolate, just add chocolate syrup. It immediately becomes chocolate ice cream. If you like a little peanut butter action, throw a little peanut butter or peanut butter powder in there. That is what I personally do at home. And as you see, it makes a good amount if you have a good amount of bananas in there. You can refreeze this. Stick it in little Tupperwares, little airtight containers. Stick them in the freezer and then just let them defrost maybe for 5 minutes when you take them out of the freezer. They're not going to be as creamy as when you first make it, but they're still going to be delicious. Enjoy, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for Atlanta Corporate Health's cooking class, Cooking from Your Pantry. My name's Mary Finkenor, and if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email listed below. Thanks for coming.